All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing the current Wayne County Board of Education candidate. Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I had the pleasure of interviewing Mrs. Kathy Meyer Larson, who is currently running for the Wayne County Board of Education seat at large. So what you're going to see now is that interview. I hope you guys enjoy the interview. She brings out a lot of interesting perspectives, and I think she will be a great candidate for the Wayne County School Board. So check this out. Enjoy the video. Remember to like, share, and also subscribe to the channel. Peace and blessings. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Richard Taylor, back with another video from Taylor House Publishing. Today we are going to be talking with Wayne County Board of Education at-large candidate for Wayne County, Miss Kathy Larson. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you back. Now, you are running for the at-large seat. Now, that means everybody in the county can vote for you.
Yes. It's county-wide, which is something that people I think are a little confused about, but there's 6 different districts that you can vote for as far as Board of Education. You're running in District 3, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you are in your district, you can vote for District 3, but then you can also vote for the at-large candidate. Every single person in Wayne County can vote for that position. So it's not specific to one district. It's to represent. The goal of it is to have one person on the school board who does not represent just one part, just one district and their needs, but looks at the whole county and represents everyone and all of their needs and kind of has a big picture view of everything, and trying to advocate for all students in all districts and be able to see the big picture need for everyone.
Okay, so now your slogan is a mom on a mission. You guys see her shirt? So a mom on a mission. Now, what exactly does that mean?
That's a great question. Hopefully it's sort of self-explanatory when you hear it. People seem to really resonate with the concept. But yeah, so I got into this whole idea. I've never thought about running for office before or anything. Not like a particularly political person or really interested in that. I've been really involved. I'm a mom, obviously, of 3 kids. Caleb is... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, how old are they and what are their names?
Yeah, Caleb is 16 and he goes to the School of Engineering. Eli is 12 and he goes to the School of Engineering as well. And Abby is almost 11. She'll be 11 next week, and she goes to Spring Creek Middle School. She just left the elementary and went to the middle, so it's our first time not having an elementary student in like forever.
Okay.
So that's kind of sad, but anyway, yeah. So I have been involved very heavily in the PTA at Spring Creek Elementary for the last 4+ years. And through that process of trying to get things done at the school and advocate for our students and kind of see all the needs that are in that area, just sort of noticed that there is a void on the Board of Education, that there is not a mom of public school children on the board. There's one parent who is a dad of one student who is a 5th-year senior at high school in the public school system. His younger 2 go to private school. Okay. Which is fine. Everybody has the right to make those choices. But I just felt like there's a void of public school parents whose kids are in the system. They see what's going on in the schools every single day. They have a vested interest in what's going on, because I care about all kids, not just my kids, but I personally want the schools to thrive, right? I have my kids in the system. I have a personal reason for wanting to improve the school system, not just for our community, which I do think it will benefit our whole community if we can improve our public school system, whether your kids are in it or not. But personally, I have, three very personal reasons to want to improve the school system, as well as all their friends and all the kids that I've met, throughout my time working with students. Because, I think about my kids at Spring Creek Elementary, because I coach basketball, I coach soccer, I coach tennis. I also just am involved a lot in the school, and to me, they're all my kids, and I'm passionate about helping all of them, and I feel that way about all the schools, which is one of the reasons I wanted to run at large. Because
what district would you have ran in if you ran district? Do you know?
5, I think. I actually don't. Isn't that terrible? It's not up for re-election right now. That's why I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's 5. But so they alternate every 2 years. Right? Okay. Which is really smart, actually, because it means you don't just get a whole new board all at one time. Every 4 years. Have some consistency. So that position wasn't. That's another reason is that position wasn't open for 2 more years, and I thought, I really feel like we could use some new perspective and new perspective.
And that was the next question, you being a mom and actually not being an educator, a lot of the people are been educators, principals. What type of unique perspective or unique differences that you feel that you would bring to the school board in regards to not being a career educator?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually do have a background in Christian education, but it's a different context than public education for sure. So my previous job when we lived in Charlotte was as a director of Christian education at a church for a very long time, and so I do have a background in a different kind of angle, different arena of education. And currently I write curriculum for churches, so I do have some educational background, just in a different way, and it is very, very different than what public school teachers are dealing with. But I would say, as far as my experience is interesting, because being in PTA, PTA stands for Parent Teacher Association, right? So it's parents, but it's parents who are trying to work with teachers, not work against teachers, to try to equip and empower teachers to do their best, to try to help give them resources that they need in their classroom, to try to encourage them in all different ways. So I feel like my experience is I've seen things from a parent perspective myself, a lot of different issues that are going on, but then I also, because of my interaction with a lot of teachers, but I have had several events over the course of this campaign as well, where I've had Q&As with teachers and listened to what they're dealing with and their struggles. But I feel like I have kind of a unique perspective where I see from a parent's perspective, but I also have heard a lot and have seen a lot of what teachers deal with day to day, boots on the ground in the classroom, and have heard from them, what their needs are and what they would like to see improved and changed. And so I feel like it's kind of an interesting perspective. In some ways I'm like, I'm just a mom, but in other ways, not just a mom, in that I've had a lot of experience in the schools, and I've done a lot in our community, particularly the Spring Creek community. But I feel like that's one of my gifts, is that I'm a good listener, and that I do want to hear from everyone what their concerns are, what their needs are, because I think we have to take that into account. I think none of us knows. I have my perspective as a parent. I have perspective that I've heard from teachers, but I don't pretend to know all the answers of what we need, and there could be people from a different community have a completely different perspective, or like you said, former educators may have a different perspective, or business leaders may have a different perspective, because they're looking at things from what's going to build our community, what's going to be good for whether it's real estate or keeping Seymour Johnson here, all those different questions. We need all those perspectives, right? Any one perspective on the board. I don't think the board should be all moms of public school. That.
I don't know that. I don't. It's never happened. I don't know. Moms have a nurturing sense of responsibility, where they care, and not saying that
I think dads care too.
We care, but we care in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna let you go and figure it out. Like, okay, we care. Okay, okay, you messed up. Okay, let's rescue. Mom is like, no, don't touch that. But that's that's a great perspective. Now, you mentioned something earlier which we haven't talked about, but I think this is relevant because I received word that Dr. Witchard held a prayer meeting. Not at the school or, during school hours, but before the school started, he held a prayer meeting with local pastors. And I thought that was amazing, because I've been very critical of him. But, that made me look at him in a different light. Now, I also was at an event last night where a guy who's affiliated with the school board, he led a prayer before we ate. And so you said you were in Christian education. Your children are named Caleb, Eli, and Abigail, all biblical names, and you have the background in Christian education. So how important it is to you, seeing that all the things that we are dealing with within the schools, how important is it to you to implement your faith in governing decisions on the school board?
I think that's a tricky question.
I know.
You said you were going to be nice to me and give me good.
But I didn't.
I'm kidding. Okay, it's fine. No, it's a great question because for me personally, everything that I do comes from that place, from that foundation of my faith. I have been in ministry for over 20 years, and that is my heart, right? And that's part of the reason why I care so much about students, and not just students, all students, and equity for all students, because I think that's what Jesus cares about. And I see the heart of Christ is for the vulnerable, the poor, the needy, people who don't have a voice otherwise.
Yes.
Scripture says be a voice for the voiceless. So that all comes from me. At the same time, we do have, First Amendment guarantees separation of church and state, right?
Okay.
So there's a question of how much do you have to balance between me as a person, my personal decisions are going to come from that place.
Okay.
However, there's also an idea of our schools are very diverse and have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And you may have a majority of people who think, oh yeah, it's great that she's a Christian, I want to, put her in office. But then there are people who don't come from a place of faith. There are people who have a different faith than Christianity. And I think that's important to value all of those perspectives and to listen to that. I hope he's not going to be mad that I say this, but my brother is not a person of faith.
Okay.
And when I think about those types of things, I think about what he would want for his children.
Okay.
And he would want his perspective to be honored as well.
Okay.
And the idea of how do we balance, I'm going to make decisions from that place because that's who I am as a person. But we also have to consider that there are people in our schools of all different backgrounds and all different places. And I want to honor, where they come from and hear their perspective and not feel like I'm imposing my belief system on someone else. Because I wouldn't want them to do that to me.
Definitely.
Right? Would you want somebody who of a different faith or atheists or whatever to say, oh, well, I'm going to impose my faith on you?
Yeah, definitely.
No, definitely not.
No.
So it's a balance, trying to figure that out.
So what are some of the issues that you would want to focus on when you're elected? You like that, don't you?
When? You say when instead of if?
When you're elected. What are some of the issues that you would focus on, or some of the issues that concern you, or some of the things that are good, or some of the things that you think can use improvement?
Yeah, I do think we've got to give credit where credit is due. The school system has improved their grades significantly in the last year, and that's wonderful. I'm very thankful that they've done that. Great work to all of the principals and teachers and teacher assistants and even custodians and cafeteria workers and bus drivers who all played a part in helping the schools improve. That's fantastic. There's still a lot to be done.
Yes.
I would say from my perspective, what I have seen in our school at Spring Creek, and I've seen also in other schools as well, is particularly safety issues of our school buildings is a big concern for me as a parent, of course.
Now, do you mean the structure or the overall, like, preventing people from coming in that don't supposed to be there?
Both. All of the above. I mean, one of the big things that we've been dealing with at our school in the last few years is we had, I think I've told you this before, but we had our car rider line was not safe. The way that we came in and out of the school, you couldn't see turning left out of there. And people were getting in car accidents all the time. And so we did lobby to the board and asked them to move it to a different location and basically make the line longer so that more people were off of that main road, which it's like 55, it's like a little highway kind of road. And so that was one of our big concerns with that. It's just straight up safety of the students. There's also, we've had our HVAC system has been off and on not working for the last year, and I've heard that's an issue not just at our school but at a lot of different schools. And I've been in communication with central office, and Dr. Harrell's been helpful. I mean, he's not ignoring it. It's just it's a really old system and it needs updates, and there's things that need to be replaced. There's roofs that need to be replaced. There's mold in some of our classrooms. There's we had issues with fire ants on the playground and having to call to come get things sprayed, and there's a shortage of all the pretty much in every department they have a human resources shortage. They have a teacher shortage, they have a bus driver shortage, they also have a lawn care shortage, maintenance shortage. So all of these things aren't getting done. Like our lawn at our school, I think maybe got mowed 3 or 4 times last year, and there were several times that it was very, very high, and kids are trying to go out there, for recess, and it just also doesn't look very welcoming from the front perspective. But mostly thinking about that's a huge concern for me, is just that our buildings are safe. And then as far as you said, also, yes, trying to keep people out who don't need to be there. That is, as a mom, I don't think there's a bigger concern on any mom's heart right now, particularly because of, there was a school shooting, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Yeah. And there have been all these threats, which hopefully are just kids being silly and playing some stupid TikTok joke, which is not okay, kids.
Definitely
if you're listening.
not.
It's not okay, it's not funny, it's not a joke. But regardless, like that's I would say for pretty much every parent, I would imagine, and grandparents, everybody, that's your number one concern is no parent should feel like terrified to drop their child off at school. No child should feel terrified to go to school. No teacher should feel like they're putting their life on the line to walk into our classrooms and teach our children. That's not, we need to, if there's a way, there are ways we can change that and things that we can do. We can't heal the human heart, right? You can't totally change that. There might be some people out there that are going to do some evil things regardless of what you try to do to prevent it. But I do think there are things we can do to prevent it. We can have better security at our schools. One of the things that we've talked about is like a system where everybody has a key card, and we control who's going in and out the doors so that teachers don't feel like they have to prop the door. That's an issue at our school. When they go like take the kids out of the playground, they prop the door open so they can get back in, right? Well, there was a shooting, I guess the one in Texas a couple of years ago at an elementary school, and that is what had happened. Somebody had propped the door open, and that's how the guy got in. And that's a simple fix, like it's not a cheap fix, but it's a simple fix in that, we could create that sort of locking system where they can go out and then get themselves back in easily with a key card type of thing. And there are some schools that have that. I believe our middle school has it, but not our elementary. So those kinds of things are huge concerns.
With the resources, like you said, it's not a cheap fix. Now I know our budget is controlled, if I'm not mistaken, by the county commissioners, right?
Yes.
And so we only have a allotted amount of resources, right? Yeah. And so we know the bus driver shortage with the pay. Teachers are always underpaid, right?
Always.
Always.
And that is, you asked me what my concerns are. That's definitely my second. The safety of the kids, and also, of course, education. Everybody's concerned about our numbers and the academics, of course, like obviously. But the teacher shortage is, I would say, number one impact on our students' success, right? Because they're the ones in the classroom with the students every single day. They are pouring their lives into these kids. And we really do, we've talked about this, or I've talked about this before in some of my reels, but the way that teachers are paid, they have a base salary from the state.
Okay.
So if you care about teacher pay, go research who your North Carolina House and North Carolina Senate representatives are and how they voted on teacher pay. You can look that up on the internet. And if you want that to change, you have to vote for somebody who's going to vote for higher teacher pay.
Okay.
And right now we haven't had that in the last few years. So that's the base salary set by that, and we are 38th out of 50 in the nation for teacher pay. North Carolina is, which is not something to brag about. That's pretty low.
12 from the bottom.
Yeah. So good math. Where did you go to school? That was good. And then on top of that, the county commissioners can vote to give them what's called a supplement. So it's extra money per county, and that's part of why teachers in Raleigh get paid more, teachers in Charlotte get paid more, because they have more money to give to the teacher supplements.
Now, have our commission board, if you know, ever voted to?
Well, you know this, don't you? So
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. So last year, the new, or not even last year, a couple months ago.
Okay.
Or I think it was May or June. The new superintendent went to our county commissioners and asked them to raise teacher supplements, or actually just to raise our entire budget, not just teacher supplements. But his point was, hey, if we really are serious about trying to fix the schools, this is what we need to get there. He called it moving the needle, just moving the needle a little bit. Remember that from that meeting? And yes,
like
they said no to that. And to be fair, they said no because they said we haven't seen the results that we want from the money we're already giving you.
Ooh.
So show us some results and maybe we'll give you some more money. And so he has done that. He's given them some good results. So we're hoping that next time he goes and asks, they'll give more. But that's another role that when you're voting to look at the county commissioners. However, like for example, my county commissioner is running unopposed, so there's no option to vote.
Dr. Harrell?
No, I'm not in his district.
Oh, okay. He's running unopposed too. Ms. Aycock?
All of them except for one are running unopposed.
Okay.
But anyway, but that's how we, I'm not going to comment on that. So that is how we affect teacher pay. But there's more than just pay that's involved with teachers. Like one of the big things I've heard from teachers is that feeling more supported by admin and central office as far as like policies and things that they're asked to do that are outside of their contract hours, and they're constantly being asked to learn a new computer program or do this paperwork or do things that I'm sure need to be done, right? But feeling like they could use more support day to day in the classroom, and from I don't know what you call it, the powers that be or whatever. And then the other thing is discipline. Teacher or student discipline in the classroom, which is something that the new superintendent is trying to work on.
Yes.
But we also, have to think about how to handle discipline in a way that's effective for the students and isn't just like, throw you an ISS, throw you but actually trying to help kids think through and change behaviors that gets to the root of the problem and isn't just throwing the bad kids out into the into suspension or into the alternative school. But those are things I think are really important to teachers, and one of the things that I'm trying to do is listen to teachers. And I had an event this past Saturday where we had teachers come and just share, and they shared a lot of things. It was at the library.
What time? Why wasn't I invited?
You were invited.
I was out of town.
Yes, you were visiting. And it was great. They shared a lot of things that I didn't know before. So that's one of the things is that I want to be someone on the board that will listen to their concerns and have them feel heard. Maybe there's some things we can't fix or can't change because they're just policies that have to be done. But even just feeling like they're being heard and that their concerns are being heard is huge to them. All that to say, we do have a huge teacher shortage. and
Okay.
bus driver shortage. As you know, we are losing teachers to other counties just in huge numbers, and that's something that is a huge concern of mine. A lot of teachers that I know personally have left for Johnston County because
Yeah.
they pay more and they have, you know, some better perks and that kind of thing. And you don't have to drive that far to go.
Yeah, it's like
you know,
20 minutes,
Yeah,
right?
to go to Johnston County. And I've even known where we are some people who've gone to Greene or Lenore. So I think if we want to keep our students succeeding, if we want to, as the superintendent said, push the needle forward, we really do need to do a better job of keeping our teachers and, you know, equipping them to do their jobs instead of making their jobs harder on them, and then also, you know, compensating them the way that they deserve. I mean, these people have bachelor's degrees, they're professionals, they're not babysitters. You know, that this is their job, and a lot of them have master's degrees, you know, and they deserve to be compensated. The other statistic is that they are paid on average 26% less than other professionals of other careers that require like a bachelor's degree and the same kind of
Wow.
certifications that they have. So we're just not valuing them, particularly in North Carolina, and then in our county as well. Our county, out of 116 school districts in North Carolina, we are 112th in amount of money we spend per pupil, per student, on just everything, not just teacher pay, but everything. So we are not spending anywhere near what
Fourth from the bottom.
fourth from the bottom.
Fourth
from the bottom.
So now
that's something can
that
change.
goes back to the
It
commissioners
does.
increasing the
It does.
entire school budget.
It does. It does. However, the Board of Education will make decisions within whatever budget. I mean, this is another thing, thinking like a mom.
Okay.
I mean, how many moms out there, you got a set budget.
You gotta make it work.
You got a
right?
budget, and it may not be your dream budget, but you got to figure out how to make it work for your family. Like, that's how we roll, right? And
Yeah.
and dads do that too, and grandparents do that too. I'm not saying only moms do this stuff, but
moms make it happen.
typically moms know how to stretch a dollar. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So that's another thing that I think, and I don't know, I mean, I'm not privy to all those conversations yet, if I were to get in, but I imagine there are some ways that we can think about stretching our dollar a little bit better, or just maybe, you know, redirecting things to different paths. So kid safety, education itself, teachers, bus driver shortage, right? That's a huge one.
Now, how do you think the school board can work with the community? Like you said, using PTA, and that's a coalition of parents and teachers working together.
Yes.
Now, what about the school administrator working with the overall community? Do you think that can be done, and in what ways?
Oh, I definitely do. I mean, there's a huge, I don't remember the exact number, but I feel like somebody said there's over 80-something churches in Wayne County.
No, it's
No?
more like 400.
Sorry, 800.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe it's 400. I can't remember. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of
I
churches.
say 80. Sorry, 800 is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
There are a lot of churches. There's the Kiwanis Club, who does amazing things in supporting schools. There's Community Supporting Schools, which I will always plug. They are a great organization that comes in and does tutoring and reading buddies. And they do work with restorative justice. And they've started a new thing called Artsecute. It's hard to say, Artsecute, where they're doing theater with kids, which is awesome. I have a huge theater background. I love theater. And I think another, see, I keep coming up with new things.
What haven't you done?
I know. I've done a lot of things. But arts education is also a huge concern of mine because it's something that, from just looking at, we are losing music educators also in our county, and a lot of the schools have lost music teachers and are not able to find new ones, and so the programs are just kind of falling apart.
Because Goldsboro doesn't even have a band anymore, I don't think.
Yes.
The band was the staple of that school.
When I was at that, it was like, I mean, it was jamming. Like it's crazy that they don't have a band. I mean, and that is that kind of thing is a huge concern, because not only, I mean, people maybe who don't know about all the research having to do with education, like you might think, oh well, band is fun, no, music education statistically and research based, they have shown that music education can improve your math scores, it improves all of your other academics. It actually is something that is it's not just for fun, it's really, really important. It also, there's a lot of things about theater, it teaches you empathy, it teaches you how to think outside the box, it teaches you creativity, all these things that we want our students, if they're going to go out into a global economy in the future, we want them to be able to collaborate with other people, we want them to be able to think outside the box, all those things that employers will be looking for in the future. Arts education actually teaches them to do all those things in a way that is hands-on, in a way that they really learn and they have fun and they don't even realize they're learning. You know, they just have a good time with it. But as far as music teachers go, when you say band, it used to be, or it should be, I guess, in an ideal world, that you have a choir teacher and a band teacher, separate positions. But because of lack of teachers and possibly also lack of funding, a lot of those positions have been combined. So you have one teacher for both.
For chorus and band.
Right, and so if a person's background is really more in chorus or really more in band, the other thing sort of falls to the wayside. Or possibly, like you said, they just don't have that position at all, which is happening in a lot of schools. So that's a concern of mine. But back to the, I keep changing gears. Sorry. Back to what you asked about the community. That was with bus driver shortage. You know, I think it's something that there are a lot of nonprofits out there who want to support the schools. You know, you have like Tommy's Foundation, you have 4-Day Movement, you have Community Supporting Schools, you have the Kiwanis, you have, there's a Rotary Club, there's a million different organizations and people, I think, who want to help. They just don't know how to. They don't, they need somebody to have some kind of crazy idea and be like, hey, how can we mobilize these organizations? How can we implement them into the schools? How can we have them come alongside us and partner with us? You know, now, like, for example, I said that earlier about churches, like, churches are an incredible resource and they can partner with us. And other religious organizations, not just Christian churches, but all, you know, denominations, but they're a great resource to be able to step in and volunteer and help. I mean, it could be anything from as simple as, okay, we've got to figure out a solution to these bus drivers, even just going to the churches and saying, we need more personnel, can anybody go get their CDL? You know, maybe a retired member of the church who has the free time, or maybe they have, like we talked about before, maybe they have a church bus that's sitting there not being used, or a church van that could take 10 kids to school. I know it's kind of, it would be piecemealing a lot of things, but it's certainly something that could be addressed. I know the problem is way, way bigger than that. But it's something that maybe a nonprofit could reach out and say, or we could create a new nonprofit that's all about how do we get these kids to school. Because one of the things that's super concerning to me, I recently was talking to someone at Brogdon Primary and said that there are some kids at that school that just have not been to school at all this year because they don't have a ride. You know, I think something that, in my situation, if my child's bus doesn't run, I have the flexibility with my job to be able to drive her to school. And that's a luxury and a privilege that I have. That's not true for everybody. I think some people who are working, if you're working in a factory all day from 6 to 6, you know, you can't leave to go take your kid to school. If you leave in the morning and they don't get a bus, they just don't go to school. You know, or you may be a family that has one car between, you know, all the adults in the family, and so trying to figure out getting the kid to school is not, it's not that simple.
When you gotta go to work.
When you gotta go to work. Right. Do you choose to work to put food on the table, or do you, you know, let your kids do school? So that's a huge concern, and it affects everything. And it is one of the concerns that the teachers shared with us, because they also said, regardless of whether kids get to school or not, they're still responsible for those kids meeting their, you know, state guideline proficiencies. You know, so if they're only in school a third of the time, they still have to meet that standard. You know, and the teachers are fighting an uphill battle with some of those kids. So that's for sure a concern. But there's a lot of, I mean, there's a million ways that we can partner with the community. And like I said, I think people want to help and are willing to help. It's just figuring out.
They don't know how, or creative ways. I like that, creative ways to fix these issues, some of the issues. Now, how has the campaigning been going? Like, this is your first foray into politics. Like, I didn't even think
the word politics.
Me neither. But people say like,
people-
I say I'm running for school board. Oh, you're in politics? No,
No.
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 I just want to,
Yeah.
see how I can help
Yeah.
the school system.
Right.
Period. Whether that's parents, whether that's educators, whether that's administrators,
Mm-hmm.
help be a better school system for everyone involved. But
Yeah.
how has it
Same.
been for you?
Yeah, it's been an adventure. I would say I have the exact same heart towards it. Like when I first announced on social media that I was running for school board, or people started hearing and they said the same thing to me. Oh, I hear you're getting into politics. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
that is not what I'm doing. Not interested in getting into politics. Thank you very much. I really, truly, just as a mom, want to help the schools and the teachers and the staff get in any way that I can. And I've been doing that, in my own community for the last however many years that I've lived here, and I did it in Charlotte when we lived there too.
Okay.
And so that's always been my heart. This is just sort of taking that to the next level of, hey, this is a way that I can affect change and help on a bigger scale to help all the schools, not just Spring Creek Elementary. But it's been the campaigning process has been interesting. I think most people that I've talked to have resonated with my message, which is I'm just a mom who's trying to help make the schools better. And most people really respond well to that, and they have found it refreshing. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, that's kind of a breath of fresh air, or somebody who really is just wanting to help affect change out of just a personal love of students, not any sort of agenda or whatever. And that part has been encouraging. The issue is just, and I have said this to you before, but my position at large, when I first signed up for it, I was like, oh yeah, at large, like I love all the kids. I want to help the kids in Goldsboro. I want to help the kids in Rosewood. I want to help the kids in, all the kids. I love all the kids. I'll sign up for at large. And then I found out it's like 75,000 voters in the whole county. That's a lot.
Now, have you been door knocking or,
I
Yeah.
have this. That was an adventure. Look,
You're
now,
not a people person?
I am a people person. I love
Okay.
people. But I am not a salesperson type person. So, like, knocking on
Yeah,
somebody's
sales.
door feels like sales.
Yeah. Well, you're selling yourself, as a
I
candidate.
guess so, which makes me uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
but I did. We went and door knocked in Rosewood recently, and that was great. Actually, people were really friendly and really kind and listened, and nobody slammed the door in my face. So that was really nice. And we actually got a few supporters out of it, which is super cool. And
And when you say we, is that your team?
my team. So I do have a team. It is mostly other moms.
Okay, all
But
right.
not all other moms.
Okay.
There's also some dads involved, including my husband, who is a wonderful supporter, but he's more of a behind the scenes kind of person. Like he does not want to be out, in front of people, but he's been incredibly supportive.
Okay. And you just celebrated
20 years.
20 years anniversary. That was
Yesterday.
like yesterday. Happy anniversary
Thank
to
you.
you and
Patrick.
Patrick. I was about to call him John. I don't know why. But a
Patrick,
biblical
yes.
name.
Oh
But
yeah,
Pat-
yeah.
So yeah, that's and so he's been supportive. You have mom supportive.
Yeah, we have.
But,
It started out with a crew, kind of like from Spring Creek Elementary, because that's my crew. That's my
Okay.
people that have been involved with the PTA. But also we have a sports rec association that we run out of Spring Creek as well. So
Okay.
that's sort of our two organizations, and it's kind of the same. A lot of the same people that do both with PTA and rec, and so. It's been a lot of those families that are involved in that are excited and want to see change. And they've also been able to see the change that we have made at our school in the past few years and thought, yes, we can do this. We can be empowered to make a difference and make a change, because we've done a lot at our school with improving the grounds in the building, and we've gotten a lot of stuff donated by local businesses. We've been able to partner. Speaking of partnering with community, that's been a huge part of what we've done, is try to partner with local businesses and local nonprofits and other community members to make changes at our school, because our school area, our school is a Title I school. So when you're talking about trying to raise funds for, you know, we replaced playground equipment, we replaced the school sign, we've fixed up all the ball fields, we've done a lot of lawn maintenance, we've done a lot of landscaping, we've done a lot of that kind of stuff in the school. And when you talk about, we had to raise, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to do these things.
So,
but
for the layman,
yes, sorry.
Title I.
Title I, okay.
For the layperson, what does that mean? Title
I, actually, most of, if not all of our schools in Wayne County are Title I, which is when you have a certain percentage of students in your population that are living under the poverty line, that's a Title I school. And so I'm not 100% sure on the numbers now that you ask me right here, but I think it's like 70-something%, maybe it's less, of students have to be living below the poverty line for you to be qualified. And what you do is you get extra money from the federal government for those schools to do extra programs that will help students who are at risk in poverty. And the other benefits that you get as a Title I school is free breakfast and free lunch for every student, regardless of whether you personally qualify for free lunch. So that's actually something that's county-wide for our whole county, which is an amazing blessing for, I think, everyone. But yeah, so our school is a Title I school. So, you know, when I came from a school in Charlotte where most of the parents were pretty well off, and if they needed to support a school fundraiser, they could just write a check and it wasn't a big deal. We came here, that's not the situation. We can't go to parents and ask parents for donations. Money. So we raise money from small business partnerships and sponsors. We also did lots of different community building events. But a lot of it was just, hey, we need to partner with local businesses because our families don't have the money to give. Okay, but local businesses do, and they have even budgets for that. You know, they have budgets for how much they can donate in a year that will benefit them from a tax perspective. And so our thought was, instead of trying to tap into our parents who really can't afford to help, let's figure out ways to raise money from other avenues. So that's something that we have done as a community that I think the school system can do on a bigger scale with our community. And it's something that, you know, local businesses want our public schools to thrive just as much as I, as a mom, want ours. Maybe not quite as much, but close to as much, because what they say statistically and research-wise is that the health of your community is a direct reflection of the health of your or the direct health of your public school system is a direct reflection of the health of your entire community. So, like, if you have a business, like, let's say Amazon wants to come build a factory here and they want to hire, you know, however many thousands of workers, they will send in a team to do research on our community, and they'll say, you know, what are their different amenities that they have in their community for our people that are going to work here. What are their schools like? What's real estate like? What's all these things? And public education is at the top of their list. Now, if you don't have schools that they would consider their employees wanting to send their kids to, they won't build a factory here. You know, or they'll say, okay, well, our kids, if they go there, they're going to have to send their kids to private schools, so we're going to have to pay them more money to be able to do that, you know, or whatever. I mean, it's definitely an issue, and it's something that we've talked a lot about in the community recently with Seymour Johnson. It's something that they look at as well. Whether or not they want to bring more squadrons here, or whether or not, you know, they want to take squadrons away from us, a lot of that has to do with the public school system. It's a huge factor in what they do, and we can't afford to lose Seymour Johnson in this area. I mean, it is a huge foundation of our economy. We really can't lose that.
Yeah, somebody said if we lose Seymour Johnson, we'll be like a third world country around here.
I think it's like a ghost town. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a huge issue, and it's something that is just super important too. That's why it's something that I think every voter should care about, regardless of whether you have a student in the public schools or not. I mean, I care about it because I'm a mom, my kids are in the schools, but I have friends whose kids are in private schools who are also passionate about it. People whose kids are grown who are also passionate about it, because it's something that reflects the health of our entire community.
Okay. So, we got about 5 minutes, right? So, it's been, you know, of course we can talk for hours, right? Because we do. So, what is it that you want the overall community to know about you in support of getting their vote?
Okay. Well, first of all, what I keep saying to people is I am not going to particularly ask you to vote for me. I'm going to ask you to do the research and read about myself as well as my opponent. And then you decide for yourself who you think is a better candidate, not a better candidate, because I don't like that term, because I've said this before in pretty much every scenario that I've been in. I don't personally have anything against the person that I'm running against. I didn't get into this because I thought, oh, that guy's bad, I have to get him out. He's actually, from everything that I've heard from mutual friends, we have a lot of mutual friends because we live in the same district.
Okay.
Ironically, we're both running at large, but we're from the same district. But I have a lot of friends who adore him and think he's a wonderful guy. I don't personally know him, but I've heard nothing but good things about him as a human being, as a person. I'm not running against him necessarily. I'm running because I see a void of needing a mom on the board, and he's just the person that happened to be in the at-large position. But what I would say is, think about what you want in a person who's going to represent you and your community on the board, and look at what he's put out on his social media pages or his website. Look at what I've put out on mine, and then decide. Vote your conscience. Vote on what you think needs to happen, and and who you think is going to do a better job at trying to improve our schools, at trying to bring some fresh perspective to try to make things change for the better. I've said this before too. This is the hard thing about politics, is oftentimes it ends up being like a popularity contest. So and so has more friends in the area, and they all vote for their friend. I said this before, but my sweet mom, who I adore, is like calling all her friends and saying, vote for my daughter, which is very sweet. And yes, I do hope they vote for me. But I hope they vote for me, not because I'm Linda Meyer's daughter, but because they think I'm going to do a good job as a mom of public school parents who's been involved in the community and has done a lot of things in the community. I think that's what I want people to hear, and what I want people to base their vote on, not that we're friends with so and so or whatever. It's not a popularity contest. It's a question of you're voting for what you want the future of our schools to look like, and what perspective you think needs to come into that conversation, and who you think is going to be able to affect the kind of changes that you want to see in our schools. That's what it's about to me. And so I would say, I know people don't like to have to go do a whole bunch of research, but I have a webpage that's pretty simple to look at. You can watch some short little videos about who I am and what I stand for, what I've got accomplished at Spring Creek, and what I hope to accomplish school-wide or system-wide. But really, I would just say, I would say, of course, I want you to vote for me, but I want you to vote for me because you think I'm going to do a good job, not just because.
And I think you will.
Yeah.
Thank
you. And
Now, tell people, when can they vote?
Okay. Oh, good question. That's a great question. I did find out the answer to this. So, early voting starts October 17th.
Okay.
And so that's about a month from now. And you can do that at 4 different locations around the county: Public Library, Maxwell Center, Mount Olive, and one other place. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, sorry. And then you can do that for a couple weeks, and then they'll take a little break, and then the actual election day is November 5th. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that people have been a little confused about. A lot of people who know I'm running for school board are like, oh, when's the election? I'm like, November 5th, like when the election always, it's always the first week of November. And they kind of look at me crazy like, oh, it's the same election as like the president? Yes, it's the same election as when you go in for president, vice president, NC House, governor. All that stuff. Yeah, governor, all that stuff. It's going to be on the exact same ballot. It's just going to be all the way down at the bottom. On the back. Yes, sorry. You'll have to. So if you go online to the Board of Elections website, you can actually download a sample ballot for your area, and it shows you everybody who's running. So like on my sample ballot, it does not have District 3 because I'm not District 3, but it does have at-large because I'm there, because it's the whole county. But it'll show you exactly who you can vote for so that you can look in advance. Oh, who are these people? What do they stand for before you go into the ballot box? Because I think too many of us sometimes will go into the ballot box and we look down and we're like, oh, I don't even know who this person is that's running for, water and soil commissioner or whatever, labor commissioner, like these different things.
What do they do?
I mean, and that's normal. Like we don't all have like thousands of hours to sit around and read about every single, candidate. But I do think right now people are so up in arms about the president. It's like such a big thing, and there's just here and there and this and that, and the people are so invested, and that's important. I mean, I'm not saying it's not important who you vote for president. Like that obviously is important, but the people, I think personally, the people who are going to have more impact on your day-to-day lives are your local representatives. So who's school board, county commissioners. I mean, they're setting the budget for our schools, y'all. Like that's a big thing. That's important, right? Your people who are going to represent you in the North Carolina House and the North Carolina Senate, they're deciding teacher pay. They're deciding a whole bunch of other things. I mean, there's a ton of different laws, and I'm not saying it's the only thing you should consider when you vote, but if it is an important thing to you, you should find out how has your representative voted in the past on teacher pay. Have they voted to raise teacher pay or not? I mean, that's a good question, and it's something that if you don't know or you can't figure it out online, reach out to me and I'll help you figure it out. Or ask your representative, send them an email. Even if they did vote against it in the past, send them an email now and say, hey, I voted for you and I really think you should raise teacher pay. That might affect change to them, because maybe you can't vote them out. Maybe they're just going to be in that position regardless, but you can at least make your voice be heard. We can all do that.
Now, if someone wants to reach out to you or get in touch with you or even make a donation to your campaign, how, I forgot that last time, how will they reach out to you? What methods can they use?
Great. So we have a website, which is kathylarsonforeducation.com, and on that website is a link to all our social medias as well. So I have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and somebody made me get TikTok, which I've never used before.
All right, because have you been using it? Have you been making TikToks?
I haven't. Well, I've just been sharing my Instagram reels at TikTok. I'm lazy, so I haven't been making new ones. But I find it a little bit overwhelming. It's very overstimulating for me because I'm older. But my kids, they're into TikTok or whatever. But so we have all those different things, but all of that stuff is posted on the website if you want to go look at that. It's sort of contained.
And they can donate through the website as well?
You can donate through the website. I'm not doing a huge thing asking for a ton of money. Like really the only things that we've spent money on are yard signs, t-shirts, and some, not mailings out, but like a few cards, and we have put some together some advertising in newspapers and stuff, but we aren't doing a huge push. Although I will say I've been really pleasantly surprised how many different supporters we've had financially, which has been really awesome and encouraging. I feel like we've had over 50 different people give money to the campaign, some of which gave more than others, $10 here, $10 there, but some people gave a whole lot, but but I find that really encouraging because it means a lot of different people from different perspectives and different walks of life are resonating with the message and want to support it. That's good. So I think it's been very, very encouraging.
Well, I certainly wish you success. Like I said, you can go to kathylarsonforeducation.com and you can send her an email at kathylarsonforeducation@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Okay. And of course, I have her number if you want to reach out. 919-587-7782. That's not her number, that's my number. And also you can also email me at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. Now, is there any last final words that you want to leave with our audience today?
I don't know. Just, our schools are so important, and one of my we didn't really talk about this too much before, but one of my biggest concerns is equity for all students across the board. And I just am really, really passionate that every single student, regardless of their background, regardless of who their parents are, regardless of where they were born, regardless of which neighborhood they live in, I think every single student deserves a quality education, and deserves the best that we can give them. Because, you know, if a student is born in an at-risk situation, that's not their fault. They were just born into that situation. And we, as community members, one of the things they say about a community is you're only as strong as your weakest link, or you're only as strong as your most vulnerable. And the way that we are judged as a community is how we treat our most vulnerable people in our community. And I think I am just really, really passionate about trying to do what I can, because you look at people in at-risk situations, the key to getting out of those cycles is education.
You're right.
I mean, there's a spiritual renewal that can happen as well.
Okay.
That we believe in, right?
Yeah.
But from a logistical standpoint, education. All the research says if you want to change your community and you want to take the next generation to a place of health and prosperity and goodness, and not some of the things that we have going on now in our community, education is the key. And giving these kids a sense of a hope and a future, and that they can pursue other things in life, and they can pursue, you know, careers, and being a positive, you know, member of society, and we can all do this together. So that's really my heart for the students, every single student from every single district, that I want to give each of them a hope and a future.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Kathy Larson for Wayne County Board of Education at large. Get out and vote starting October the 17th. And the election day is November the 5th. Now, once again, I am also running for District 3. And as she said, you can go on the ballot, vote for your president, governor, senator, all of the above. And then you turn it on the back and you go way down to the bottom. And if you see Richard Taylor on your ballot, check the box. I'm not going to sit here and say I know the whole district and where you live at. If you're going to vote for me, that's why I say turn the ballot over. If you see my name, vote. And you're going to see her name. So when you see Kathy Larson on your school board ballot, vote for Kathy Larson for candidate at large. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure, once again, you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's been a pleasure having you guys. I will see you next time. Peace and love.
From local stories to Wayne County news, get ready to dive into everything happening in North Carolina with Taylor House Publishing. Got a story to share? Shoot us an email at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. If you're looking to publish your book or need some top-notch mentorship, we've got your back. Join the excitement with the one and only Richard Taylor, right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House brings the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you on your feet. Taylor House, we got the school. Taylor House Publishing.